Hello and welcome. Tonight, police released 22 protesters arrested on Sunday morning during the NSAS 4th anniversary in Lagos. Tragedy strikes during the traditional festival in Awka South local government area of Anambra State, where several persons are reportedly killed by gunmen in a cult-related clash. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo expresses concern over the growing number of out-of-school children in the country. He says trend poses a great security risk for the nation. And dozens killed after an Israeli airstrike hit several multi-story buildings in northern Gaza. "22 persons arrested earlier today at the Lekki toll gate for participating in the 4th anniversary of the NSAS protest have been released by the police. This was shared on the X handle of human rights lawyer Inibe Efyong, who had earlier shared a video of the arrest. Amongst those earlier incarcerated is activist Hassan Soweto, who decried police manhandling of the protesters.
Protesters fighting for you. You are going to oppress you. Who are you trying to come? On the NSAS, let me talk get massacre. By a group of policemen under the leadership of the Commissioner of Police in Lagos. I'm right now speaking to you.
Look at me.
From a black Maria.
I am beaten and my phones are seizing.
My glasses.
I will be robbed.
Their phones have been taken by the police. It was struck away from the hands of a police officer without any provocation. We're asking here again, when the right to commemorate the dead has become illegal and criminalized in this country, we're standing here to mark the passing of our brothers and sisters who were brutally killed 4 years ago at the Lekki toll gate. We're asking the international media and members of the public globally to prevail on the Nigerian government, the Tinubu regime, to stop further attacks on protesters in Nigeria. We are never going to give up our right to continue to demand a demand over and the end to what that one policy that are made of arrest.
Well, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Olarewaju Ishola, while speaking with Channels Television, says the police dispersed the group because the gathering had no clearance from the police.
What we had was gotten on the social media. There are some people who want to celebrate the 4th anniversary of NSAS. Well, constitutionally, they should write to me as Commissioner of Police of their intention to do such. They did not write to us. And as such, any of such gathering is illegal. And by extension, no police will not allow it to happen. So that's the very essence of why we are here today. We've been here since 12 a.m. overnight. And all over Lagos, we have taken over the traditional points where protesters can gather. We are not averse to anybody exercising their fundamental rights, but the law of the land must be emplaced. And so far so good. It's been total non-acceptance of any disruption here and throughout the state. Earlier in the day, I went around all parts of Lagos, like I said, all the traditional points, Ganifa Emi Park, Freedom Park, Ikeja Under Bridge, Alausa Mall, places of government infrastructure that they may want to unleash mayhem. We have all the places covered.
Leaders of youth organizations numbering over 15 have passed a vote of confidence on the leadership of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project HYPREP, headed by Professor Nenibari Nizabe. This endorsement comes in response to a protest led by a faction of the National Youth Council of Ogoni people to the office of the Minister of Environment earlier this week, where concerns were raised about the project's impact on local communities and accountability. Our correspondent Deborah Agbelama reports.
These persons gathered here are youth leaders of major youth organizations in Ogoni land, including their mother organization NICOP and the Ogoni Living Matthias. Thank you. They say the reason for their gathering in Borikana LGA is to correct what they described as a wrong narrative being pushed by some individuals about the ongoing cleanup exercise spearheaded by HiPrep.
So far, so good. HiPrep has been doing well in Ogoni land. I'm from Uyakara community, where we have a project worth about 70 billion naira. A host to Center for Excellence. Center for Excellence is about 75% completion. That before May next year, the CCNC has promised that they will hand over the project. We have about 133 projects ongoing, both shoreline and remediation and mangrove restoration in Ogoni land.
Others add their voices highlighting the progress witnessed in HiPrep under the current project coordinator, Professor Nenebarini Zabe.
We want to state that HiPrep has made significant progress in Ogoni land under Professor Nenebarini Zabe's leadership, aligning with UNEP's recommendation for Ogoni environmental justice.
Meanwhile, elsewhere, Raymond Wibani, the factional president of NICOP, who had earlier led a protest to the Ministry of Environment in Abuja, alongside representatives from 3 youth organizations and the Federation of Ogoni Women Association, FOWA, addressed the media.
We demand for accountability of the contract and what has been done thus far, so that people that actually lost their lives can get to know what is happening. We want these things to be done on our various women. They should be empowered. There is something I define as life-touching skills.
Also speaking at the briefing, a representative of the Federation of Ogoni Women Association, FOWA, alleged that the women in Ogoni communities have not felt the impact of HiPrep's interventions.
The truth is that nothing has happened to the women. HiPrep has not done anything for Ogoni women. They should quote me that I said they've not done anything for Ogoni women. If you need, you go to the villages, come to Lori, come to Lore, go to, in fact, which way will I mention, how will I not mention? No, if you go to the villages, nothing is happening.
While the different groups have their views on how much success HiPrep has achieved in Ogoni land, HiPrep says it remains committed to improving on the progress that has been achieved under its current leadership. To buttress their point, they say that unlike what obtains in the past, where the cleanup of Ogoni land had moved at a snail's pace, there had been more visible activity from 2023 till date, including the commissioning of potable water schemes, the ongoing construction of the Center of Excellence, ongoing specialist and cottage hospitals, and remediation activities, amongst others. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
At least 10 persons have been killed in Awka South local government area of Anambra State by gunmen at Oyinwochichi Market near the community-owned maternity. According to eyewitnesses, the hoodlums arrived in a brown-colored Lexus 300 Jeep, stormed the area, and immediately opened fire on the people. Although the total number of persons gunned down is yet to be ascertained, community members say no fewer than 10 corpses have so far been recovered. Now, the police public relations officer, Mr. Tochukwu Ikenga, who confirmed the attack, however, disclosed that it was a cult-related clash between rival groups. Mr. Ikenga adds that the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Nage Itam, had ordered deployment of more operatives to the area while calling on witnesses to volunteer information for necessary action. Former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, is worried that the increasing number of out-of-school children in the north poses a great danger to the security of the country. Now, the former president, who raised the concerns while commissioning 3 major roads in Bauchi State today, says leadership challenges are a major obstacle to the country's developmental progress. Chief Obasanjo, however, commended Governor Bala Mohammed for his achievements in infrastructural development. Our correspondent, Hajira Aliyu, reports.
Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo is on an official visit to Bauchi State, where he is billed to inaugurate 3 major roads completed by the Bala Mohammed-led administration. He is accompanied to the venue by Governor Bala Mohammed, former Governor Ahmadu Ma'azu, and other dignitaries.
And your laudable mission and vision.
But typical of Chief Obasanjo, he would not miss an opportunity to speak on national matters, and this time was no exception. The former president expressed his concerns for the rising number of out-of-school children in the north, which he says poses a great danger for the security of the country.
World Bank says we have over 20 million children who should be in school that are not in school. For a population of about, what, 220, 230 million. So that is 10% of our population that should be in school that are not in school. Governor, Your Royal Highnesses, brothers and sisters, that is recruitment for future Boko Haram. Think about it.
His host and Bauchi State Governor, Bala Muhammad, expresses appreciation for the former president's leadership qualities and humanitarian efforts. He goes on to speak on the day's event, emphasizing that his interventions in the state are based on a solid developmental plan.
As of today, we have undertaken the construction of 116 road projects, totaling 1,482.25 kilometers across Bauchi State. Out of these, 79 roads have been completed and are ready for commissioning, while the rest are at the various stages of completion. This project reflects our unwavering commitment to addressing the infrastructural needs of Bauchi State and ensuring equitable distribution of development.
And the former president seems to agree with the governor, especially on his vision in advancing Bauchi State.
One of the first lessons I learned in the army is that you must have objective. You must have mission. Your mission must be clear. It must be understood and understandable to everybody. And it must be a mission you can make and state in very simple one-sentence language. From what I heard today and the little interaction that I have had with you, you seem to have a mission, understood and understandable.
In appreciation of Chief Obasanjo's visit, the people presented him with a gift of cows. Later, Chief Obasanjo and other dignitaries officially inaugurated the 30-kilometer Gubigari Route Sea to Nasarawa Road, as well as the 17-kilometer road to the airport and the 7-kilometer Awala roundabout road to Yuli. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
In part two after the break, Vice President Kashim Shettima to lead Nigeria's delegation at the 2024 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our main stories. Police released 22 protesters arrested on Sunday morning during the NSAS 4th anniversary in Lagos. Tragedy strikes during the traditional festival in Awka South local government area of Anambra State, where several persons are reportedly killed by gunmen in a cult-related clash. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo expresses concerns over the growing number of out-of-school children in the country. He says trend poses a great security risk for the nation. And dozens killed after an Israeli airstrike hit several multi-story buildings in northern Gaza. Still on national development, the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Saad Abubakar III, says education is at the heart of raising awareness for the peaceful coexistence of Nigerians of different faiths. Now, the Sultan was speaking in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, at the closing ceremony of a two-day interfaith conference organized by the Muslim Brothers.
For interfaith harmony. Like I've said, both at the Obon's Palace and the Government House on addressing the governor, you can't have interfaith harmony without interfaith understanding. You can't have interfaith understanding without education. You can't have education without our leaders being very serious in educating our people. A lot of governors have put out so many programs in educating our children. Much needs to be done, and I believe we have to do our best. Excellency, we thank you for your hospitality. We thank you for hosting us. We thank you for hosting all the participants, and we pray one day we'll have a longer period of such programs so that we'll continue to understand one another for the sake of security development of our country.
Organizers, we welcome very warmly.
Meanwhile, the Cross River State Governor Basi Otu is advocating for interfaith harmony in Nigeria to foster development. The governor was speaking when he received the Sultan and emphasized the importance of harmony in nurturing a sense of unity.
Let me thank you for having this interfaith synergy. It is true that this is about the most important thing that we need to do in different facets and crannies to make sure that we bring our country together. The issues we have today are issues of division, which we have agreed with the Sultan that any society that there is no peace, there is no justice, there's no understanding and accommodation, cannot sustain. That brotherhood exists among all of us. And in all other locations that we have Muslim communities, I think the relationship has been very, very convivial. Interfaith lectures like this are very necessary to enlighten people that nobody is coming to this world to live forever.
Earlier this week, the National Bureau of Statistics released the inflation data for September 2024. Beyond the numbers, what is the outlook for the rest of the year and what are the implications, especially for the common man? Tonight, Babajide Okusonwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share more insight about the September inflation report. Babajide, great to have you again.
Good evening, today.
All right, so are there signs that from what we're talking about here, inflation report, are there signs of light at the end of the tunnel, really?
Perhaps there's some good.
The trends, what do the trends show?
Yeah, the trends show good and bad news. With reference to light at the end of the tunnel, yes, there's some good news. There is light at the end of the tunnel. The bad news, however, Yotunde, is that based on these trends, majority may not make it to the end of the tunnel. That is the bad news. You know, the inflation report for several years has made people focus on just one thing, which is the rising price of goods. However, the inflation report, same inflation report, is a good barometer to measure currency risks. Currency risks is a good barometer to measure consumer and household risks. Consumer and household risks is a good barometer to measure business risks. Business risks is a good barometer to measure investments and financial risks. And investment and financial risks is a good barometer to measure economic risks. So in simple terms, what I'm saying is whenever we have an inflation report, beyond it giving us the measure of how prices of goods and services are rising, it gives us a lot of insights. And this is because, yes, this inflation report talks about 32.7%. The question we're asking is, what sort of inflation reports are we finding in other European countries and in the US? So let's take a look at the fact of the week as a good basis to look at where exactly are other countries. So the question today is there any country in the European Union that inflation rate is above 5% per annum? Don't forget, we have 27 countries in the European Union. The evidence shows that there is no country None of these 27 countries in the European Union has an inflation rate of above 5% per annum. In Nigeria, Ayotunde, based on this report, the inflation rate is 32.7%. Makes it hard for investments to come in, makes it hard for the economy to really grow, makes it hard for Nigerians to survive. So, Babajide, is this inflation rate significantly different from others? I mean, the report, that is. So here's what I've done. Prior to this September inflation report, we've had 25 other September inflation reports. So this made it inflation rate number 26 for September. And what I've done is put all these inflation reports side by side to find out which is the best, which is the worst. And the evidence, Ayotunde, sadly shows that this September inflation report is the worst report we've had since our return to democracy since 1999. So let's take a look at these facts, because these facts are from the National Bureau of Statistics, looking at all the previous 26 inflation reports in our chart of the week. Here's what you find if you look at it and you spread it out decade on decade from 1999. The first decade between 1999 to 2008, looking at all the September inflation reports, 2005 was the worst report then, 24.3%. The next decade, 2009 to 2018, looking at all the September inflation reports, 2016 was the worst rate, 17.9%. But what has happened ever since 2018, looking at the subsequent inflation reports year on year from 2019, we are now at 2024, inflation report for September, 32.7%. Again, I repeat, no inflation report in those previous 25 inflation reports for September has been as high as 32.7%. And this is why Nigerians are really angry, because they've never seen a September this bad. So, Babajide, there are concerns really over the productivity of Nigeria's farmlands, especially protecting small and, of course, a medium scale of farmers. Is there any data to track, how much security agencies have achieved in that regard? So we're working on, we're expecting some new information for October to allow us to collate it. But prior to now, what we've done is to look at what has happened across the regions. And, when I do this analysis, there are three ways I like to look at it. The first is when we look at Nigeria, first of all, look at Nigeria as an entity. The second is to look at Nigeria from the regional perspective, the northern region and the southern region, because it allows us to know what is going on in each of the geopolitical blocks. But the third and perhaps the most important way I like to look at it is to isolate the Northwest and the Northeast. And I'll tell you why I do this. The Northwest and the Northeast holds more than half of Nigerians who are categorized as poor. You heard me right. Just the Northwest and the Northeast. More than half of Nigerians who are categorized as poor live in these two regions. Plus, the Northwest and the Northeast, when we talk about Nigeria's old 909 square thousand kilometers, the Northwest and the Northeast accounts for more than half of Nigeria's land area. So in reality, beyond looking at Nigeria from the northern and southern perspective, it is to understand that Nigeria's success really is hinged on what happens in the Northwest and the Northeast. So let's take a look at what does this report say about food inflation across Nigeria's 6 regions. And again, the evidence from this September inflation report looks at what happened in this September compared to last year's September. The report shows that the Northwest and Northeast has the highest food inflation. Again, don't forget, the Northwest and the Northeast represents where you have the most vulnerable Nigerians. The poorest of the poor live in these regions, and this report is telling us that in these 2 regions, food inflation relative to any other region is the highest. So in simple terms, the poor are getting poorer. Ayotunde, that is the challenge we face today. Yes, we talked about good news. There's some light at the end of the tunnel, but what the government needs to really understand is while it's working on solutions, several Nigerians are worried that they might not make it to the end of this tunnel.
Well, definitely we'll continue to keep tabs on the situation, but well, like you said, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel.
Surely, it's good and it's bad news.
And it's good and it's bad news. Thank you so much again, Babajide Obiso, for your analysis.
The pleasure is all mine today.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is to lead Nigeria's delegation to the 2024 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting holding in the Pacific island of Samoa. Now, according to a statement by the Vice President's spokesman, Stanley Nkwocha, the Vice President will join King Charles of England and other world leaders at the event taking place from October the 21st to the 26th. The Vice President is expected to use the platform to attract investors to Nigeria as global experts from businesses and the private sector convene to recommend and champion solutions to global challenges. Vice President Shettima will also participate in the People's Forum, the single largest opportunity organized by the Commonwealth Foundation for people to engage with leaders on global development issues, as well as engage in bilateral meetings and other executive sessions. So ahead on the news at 10, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrest a Canada-based nurse and 2 businessmen for drug trafficking. Please join us again. Welcome back. Maintain peace in your domain or get ready to be dethroned. And that's the marching order from the Taraba state government to traditional rulers in the state. The state deputy governor, Aminu Alkali, who gave the government's position during the meeting with the traditional rulers, announced that the state is overstretched in spending its meager resources in restoring peace instead of channeling it to other developmental purposes.
This meeting is to broker peace between the Gomo-speaking tribe and the Fulani in Bikwin community of Karim Lamido local government area of Taraba State, who have engaged each other viciously, leading to the death of 3 persons and the destruction of livestock and properties. Among other things, the meeting is built to find the root causes of the crisis and compensate victims, even as the affected tribes say they regret their actions.
On our part, we cannot ask them to fight. They are our children, and we are pleading for understanding, and we promise that this will be the last of its kind. All we had in mind to execute, we have decided to let go. We have decided to give peace a chance.
Representatives of Karim Lamido local government area at the State Assembly, alongside other speakers at the meeting, say the crisis is a drawback syndrome in the community and ask the youth to channel their energy towards development rather than destruction.
We are lucky enough that this administration and we gave the government that they need their people. If not, we will live somewhere dangling. Please and please, my brothers and sisters, I'm appealing to us that this such should not happen.
We are the people creating scenarios that will make the government restless. We keep on fighting one fight from one community to the other. Rather than inviting the government to come to Karilamido, for progress, we are only inviting government to come to us when we begin to fight. This is pathetic.
Governor Abu Kefas, represented by his deputy at the meeting, wants that going forward, the state government will not call for dialogue between the feuding ethnic groups in the state, and any traditional ruler who fails to restore peace in his domain will be dethroned. According to him, resources meant for development are diverted to ensure peace, a situation he says stagnates the state.
The governor has instructed me to tell you that our traditional rulers, especially from the graded chiefs to the ward heads, if there's any problem that occurs here, first and foremost, the ward head, the village head, the district head, and possibly the graded chief of that community would definitely lose their positions.
With the peace brokered here, it is expected that the affected communities will sheath their swords and allow the development of the area.
The governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, has cautioned that his government will criminalize violators of the basic education law established in the state. The governor gave this caution at an event organized by the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Agile in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. According to him, the Adamawa State government has domesticated all gender-based violence laws where no child, especially girls, should be discriminated or denied access to education.
Gathered here at the Nyako Training Center in Yola, Adamawa State, are key stakeholders of the Adolescent Girls Education Initiative and teenage students from some selected schools in the state. The initiative is aimed at sensitizing the adolescent girls on gender-based violence and good hygiene, among others. Some of the students speak on the rights of the girl child and their challenges.
In today's world, the vision of gender equality is more important than ever.
It is a fundamental human right that ensures everyone, regardless of their gender, has equal opportunities and rights.
The State Commissioner for Women Affairs highlights the role of women in government, just as Governor Omar Fintiri, represented by the Commissioner for Education and Human Capital Development, wants that government will take advantage of existing laws to clamp down on erring parents.
We have a governor that is fighting for the right of the girl, fighting for the right of women in Adamawa State. And because of that, he has also given us key positions. We always say that you are children of future leaders, the leaders of tomorrow. It's happening in Adamawa State when it comes to the girl child. We have a deputy governor that's a woman. We have the CJ is a woman. We have a member of the State House of Assembly. We have 21 local government vice chairmen as women. This is encouraging enough for you to know that you have a future ahead. And when you see women in positions, a commissioner, a woman, I think it gives you the courage to know that once I'm educated, once I'm well cultured, once I mingle with the right people, surely there's a future and a hope for me.
Nobody, under no condition you withdraw a daughter from school because there's no school fees, because we have schools that are free. And very soon we'll start criminalizing any parent that refuses to send his daughter or child to school. Because it's a law. It's a law that has been domesticated in the state, the basic education law, that makes education free, the basic education free and compulsory. So there's no excuse on the part of every parent not to send a child to school. There's also no excuse on the part of every parent not to keep that child in school.
High point of the event is the distribution of hygiene kits to students from the selected schools. The event with the theme, Girls' Vision for the Future, is expected to mop up the number of dropouts or out-of-school adolescent girls in order to ensure increased enrollment into formal schools.
The Lagos State chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is hosting the 9th Lagos Digital PR Summit at the Muzon Center in Lagos. The two-day event aims to equip communicators with the latest digital PR strategies and insights to enable them deliver on their professional jobs.
It's the 9th edition of the Lagos Digital PR Summit, organized in partnership with the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Media professionals are once again gathered to discuss media in the 21st century with the theme, Nurturing Authentic Connections in Digital Ecosystems. They seize the opportunity to give their insights into present-day practice.
As communication professionals, we must recognize that the real value in digital ecosystems goes beyond the speed and scale of engagement. Authenticity is what sustains relationship, builds trust, and ensure lasting impact.
Whatever we do, whether in our personal lives, in our business lives, or in governments, the fundamentals of PR, the fundamentals of communications remain the same. The platforms may change. You know, today might be social media, tomorrow it might be something else, might not even be technology related.
From conceptualization, nobody knows what you're doing until you bring it out and you're able to present it to your client, and your client is persuaded, and it is approved, and it doesn't stop there. You still have to implement it in a way that achieves the set objectives.
In today's media space, the utilization of modern tools such as artificial intelligence will lead to an enhanced service delivery, as espoused by members of this panel session.
When it comes to using AI-generated content as propaganda, we always say for news outlets, government handles, please always verify your handles.
For the most part, AI gathers information like Google. It's just faster. So still, even after getting that information from AI, you should do like another confirmation to be sure that, you know, the answers correlate.
The essence of this year's summit is to actually bring people together and invite people who are actually excel in the medium, in this digital space, to come and talk to us. It's like a workshop.
With the coming of the 9th Digital PR Summit, It is believed that the new approaches discussed will equip media practitioners with cutting-edge strategies, tactics, and practical tools to elevate their on and offline campaigns and enable them achieve outstanding results.
Outside our shores, stakeholders in the renewable energy sector have been brainstorming in Nairobi, Kenya, on ways to boost investment in Africa's clean energy development. The forum, organized by the Accelerated Partnership for Renewables and the International Renewable Energy Agency, featured high-level dialogues and robust panel sessions with an emphasis on increasing investment in renewable energy across the continent. Our business correspondent Ladi Williams was in Nairobi and brings this report.
African ministers and their partners are advocating for a faster shift to renewable energy. During a three-day investment forum in Nairobi, Kenya, these leaders highlighted the numerous advantages of moving towards renewable.
Together, we can innovate on how to overcome barriers and show that we can be faster and more impactful when working together toward the same objective. I'm confident that this forum will result in concrete outcomes.
The forum, hosted by countries involved in the Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa, APRA, brought together ministers, investors, developers, and financial institutions.
Accelerating the deployment of clean energy solutions is not only essential for tackling the climate crisis, but also for promoting inclusive economic growth and improving livelihoods across the continent. The success of these efforts, however, depends on sustained public and private investment in clean energy development.
Stakeholders highlighted Africa's slow investment in renewable energy investment. In the various panel sessions held, the consensus was Africa needs access to affordable financing.
When it comes to hydropower, and we've been looking into this issue for a few years now, about half of Africa's hydropower fleet is in need of rehabilitation, and the good chunk of it is outright sort of run down and needs sort of serious sort of rehabilitation. So we're looking to support also modernization of existing legacy hydropower assets.
I think from a mega point of view, where we engage in projects, it's typical, as I mentioned, you know, guarantees or de-risking are not necessarily band-aids.
At the end of the three-day APRA forum, stakeholders went away with two major points. Africa cannot be left behind in this energy transition process, and even though investment in renewable development has increased, investments need to be ramped up to keep global warming below the 2% target. Ladi Williams, reporting for Channels Television.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, has announced the arrest of two businessmen, Ihejirika Emmanuel and Iwagu Victory, as well as a Canada-based nurse, Usman Olami, at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, for attempting to import and export cocaine pellets and parcels of loud, a synthetic strain of cannabis, through the airport. A statement by the Director, Media and Advocacy of the agency, Mr. Femi Babafemi, says Mr. Emmanuel, who frequents Thailand from where he claims to be importing fish into Nigeria, was arrested on Tuesday, October 15 this year, while attempting to board an Ethiopian Airlines flight to Thailand, while the 26-year-old Iwagu Victory was arrested on October 17th after his body scan revealed ingestion of illicit drug during the inward clearance of passengers on an Ethiopian Airlines flight. The statement adds that the Nigerian-Canadian nurse, Usman Olami, was arrested with 70 parcels of Canadian loud weighing 35.7 kilograms on October the 4th at the Lagos airport during the inward clearance of Air France passengers from Toronto, Canada. And now to the arts. Well, the World Mental Health Day has been celebrated recently, and artists like Tosin Toromade used the opportunity to explore this issue, especially as it relates to the male gender. The paintings and installations on display explore men's health in his solo exhibition titled What is Man? At the Art Pantheon Gallery in Lagos.
What is man? A solo exhibition by Tosin Toromade attracts a full house at the Art Pantheon Gallery in Lagos.
What is man it's a burning question that has been on my mind in the last maybe 1.5 years. I was trying to create a body of work that would not only speak to people who are art lovers, but something that will impact the general public. Even if you're not an art lover, I would want to create something that would speak to your consciousness and, put you in check. So this is why I came up with this topic. And it speaks to the diverse subject of humanity and then the masculine gender.
The artist is not alone. And it's a question that's on a lot of minds, as the founder of the gallery, Nana Asuma, can connect to this show. This squeeze is something that has been running through her head for a while now.
Someone was telling me, you've gone above and beyond on this show. You've done some things that you wouldn't do. And I said, yes, because this resonates, this talks to me. I have friends who have dropped dead, just due to pressures, to so many things that they cannot talk about. I have people, young men, kids who have been abused, who are constantly abused, and nobody talks about it. But we talk about the women, we talk about the girl child, we talk about abuse on the part of the women, but nobody talks about the men abuse. Nobody talks about their mental health. Nobody talks about the fact that there is so much pressure on them. So this exhibition actually bears it all for me, and I am 101% satisfied.
The audience can also identify with this visual dialogue too.
It's not just visually pleasing, it's the fact that it serves as an advocacy for men's mental health, especially because that's a subject that we don't really talk about. We expect men to be strong, not cry and all of that, but these works show that in all of this, that men also have a frail inner being. So it's just very beautiful to see.
Tosin's work, it's very thoughtful. It gives you something to think about. It's like a sober reflection, and then it reminds you to live life. You have to live life because we are all going towards one journey: rich, poor, influential. So it's more like live life, because all of us are going to end somewhere. And what do you want to be remembered for? What are you leaving behind? Because at the end of the day, that's what's important. Whatever riches we make, it's going to be shared at the end of the day. But what you're being remembered for is what stays. That's what makes you, what's the word, a legend, so to say.
With this interesting outing for his second solo exhibition, the Art Society will be watching to see what more this artist has up his sleeves.
Time now for sports news. Super Falcons head coach Justin Madugu has invited only 6 foreign-based players in his 25-team list for this month's international friendlies against their Algerian counterparts in Lagos. Team captain Rashida Tajibade, first-choice goalkeeper Chiamaka Nadozie, Esther Onyenezide, Gift Monday, Chidima Okeke and Esther Onyenezide are the foreign pros in the squad. The matches are billed for the Mobolaji Johnson Arena on Saturday, October the 26th and Tuesday, October the 29th. It's the first time that the Falcons are playing international friendly matches on home soil since the Aisha Buhari Invitational Tournament 3 years ago. Remo Stars of Ikenne reclaimed the top spot in the Nigeria Premier Football League following a 1-0 win against Bendel Insurance in Matchday 8 clash played earlier this evening. Dela Akoli got the only goal of the match on the 43rd minute of the first half to move on to 18 points from 8 games, pending the outcome of their closest rivals, Rivers United, who are on 17 points and will be in action on Monday. For other games played this evening, Bayelsa United, El Kanemi Warriors and Abia Warriors all recorded home wins. Kano Pillars were held at home by visiting Kwara United. Sunshine Stars is another team that picked a home win against Nasarawa United. Liverpool passed a major test of their Premier League title credentials to move back to the top of the table by beating Chelsea 2-1 at Anfield earlier this evening. Mohamed Salah's penalty and Curtis Jones' winner made it 10 wins in 11 games for the Reds since Arne Slot, the Dutchman, took charge. And Liverpool's winner came just after Nicholas Jackson had restored parity for Chelsea, who had fallen behind to Salah's penalty with a goal that was initially disallowed for offside before the intervention of VAR. Earlier, John Stones scored the 95th minute winner as defending champions Manchester City beat Wolves at the Molineux. At least 87 people have been killed following an Israeli strike on the city of Beit Lahia in northern Gaza. The attack has been described by the IDF as a precision against a Hamas target. The IDF also accused Hamas authorities of sharing exaggerated figures.
The strikes in the town of Kiem are said to be one of the most intense in days. The Israeli military says its air forces has been targeting dozens of terrorist targets in southern Lebanon. The billowing smoke, evidence of those strikes. Meanwhile, fires broke out in Safed, northern Israel, on Sunday after Hezbollah launched a barrage of rockets from Lebanon. Planes were seen dropping water and responders were extinguishing fires near houses. Israeli media reported that more than 100 rockets were fired from Lebanon to northern Israel on Sunday. According to the Lebanese military, 3 of its soldiers were killed in an Israeli strike on an army vehicle in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah has made no comment on the strikes, but said it fired missiles at Israeli forces in Lebanon and at a base in northern Israel. And the death toll rose as Israeli strikes descended on the town of Beit Lahia in northern Gaza. Casualties were rushed to Kamal Adwan Hospital in Jabalia. Several blasts have been heard over the southern suburbs of Beirut after Israel said it was preparing attacks on sites linked to the financial operations of Lebanon's Hezbollah group. The warnings came after Israel said it hit Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in the Lebanese capital Beirut, while officials in Gaza said rescuers were still recovering people from the rubble after an Israeli attack on Saturday that killed dozens. The Hezbollah-linked financial institution has more than 30 branches across Lebanon, including 15 across central Beirut and its suburbs. There's been no immediate statement from the organization, Hezbollah, or the Lebanese government.
Tech billionaire Elon Musk says he will be giving away $1 million a day to a registered voter in the swing state of Pennsylvania until the November 5th presidential election. The winner will be chosen at random from those who signed a pro-constitution petition by Mr. Musk's campaign group America PAC, which he set up to support Republican nominee Donald Trump's bid to return to the White House. And the main news again. The Lagos State Police Command has released the protesters arrested on Sunday morning during the commemoration of the 4th anniversary of the EndSARS protests. Also today, former President Olusegun Obasanjo expressed concern over the growing number of out-of-school children in the country. He said the trend poses a great security risk for the nation in the future. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night. Please stay safe.